And I don't care what anybody says, nothing takes the place of an actual person with an actual mind. Because what I started to see was the stuff that they were giving me, I was seeing them on other competitor sites, and I'm like, okay, we can't all be saying the same thing.
Welcome to the brndBrief podcast, where we discuss the latest trends on the business side of fashion, beauty, lifestyle, and entertainment, and the impact of technology on driving brand growth. This podcast is powered by Brand Method Media Group, and I'm your host, Kelly Kelly. Today's guest is Necie Armstrong, founder of Supernatural Baby, a premium baby brand offering clothing, feeding necessities, and more, with a core belief that every baby deserves to be wrapped in comfort and style. Welcome to the show, Necie.
Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. This is actually my first podcast.
Oh, wow.
I guess as an entrepreneur, like I've done podcasts, but not for this reason. So I'm excited to be a part.
Amazing. So I would love to start with taking us back to the inspiration of the brand and how you decided to move forward and grow it.
Of course. So I think it's crazy because it's a blur, like everything that happened like during and after the pandemic. So years kind of like mix me up. But I think it was 2019. I started Supernatural Goods, it's pretty much like the mother brand of Supernatural Baby. I'm kind of wearing it now. But anyway, so it was for adults in the hopes of once I had a little one to kind of like go into that space. I am glad I did it that way, even though it's way harder making clothes for adults because one, they're heavier. It's way more fabric used. And you gotta really be like, it's not as niche. I mean, everybody makes clothes for adults. And so I am glad in retrospect that I did that first because it taught me a ton about creating things and manufacturing and all that jazz. But so when I started that in 2019, I kind of snowballed that. It started off where you have to learn that, okay, your customer isn't necessarily people that you know. You have to go outside of people that you know and find people. And I did not know what the work was going to be associated with that. But I'm here for a challenge. And so it taught me definitely a lot about marketing and growth. And just like I had to start doing pop-ups and I started to like literally touch the people that I was trying to get to purchase my stuff, and they got to feel the fabric and touch everything. And so I started to realize that, oh, okay, actually being able to see people and touch them is a little bit easier than getting someone on Instagram to buy something, to buy a thing. So anyway, with that said, I kind of put that on the back burner when I started trying to conceive because we had to go through IVF methods, and that's stressful in itself. That's a whole nother, thing. And so I was like, let me just kind of like scale back on Supernatural Goods and let me focus on having the baby. And so when we were successful with that, I picked back up on Supernatural Baby because I knew that was already like kind of the blueprint of how I wanted things to work. And so I started out getting everything together and doing all my manufacturing and everything and getting mock-ups and stuff like that. I started that when I was probably around maybe 3 months pregnant. And so I was like, okay, I want this to be like this. But I still was going through the IVF process. I was still afraid that what if my baby doesn't live, past 3 months? I had never miscarried before, but I know a lot of people that have, and it's no rhyme or reason. And so I was like, okay, I'm not going to like fully go in. I'm kind of going to like, let me just get started. So I started out with like the feeding products, like with the bowl, the whole set, the bowl, the plate, the spoons, and they're all silicone and they're easy for babies because they can kind of chew on them and they don't have to worry about hurting themselves. Because I remember when I was growing up, we had metal spoons. They were little, but they were definitely metal. And so I started out with that, and your plate is suction, so it sticks to the table so the baby can't like throw the food around the room. But I knew that I could sell that without having a baby present. And so I was like, no matter what happens, that's something that I can market or sell. And so from there, I was like, okay, I want to do clothes too. I want to do onesies, but I want my baby to get here first so I can kind of see what she likes and what she doesn't like. So she was kind of like my tester.
Mm-hmm.
So when she was born last July, I started kind of fine tuning things. So I started doing like my samples and stuff. And I had like a few onesies and I was seeing like how she like responds to certain fabrics. And I was like,
Mm.
okay, she likes like super, super buttery soft stuff. She likes 100% cotton. I like 100% cotton. Supernatural Goods was 100% cotton. So I was like, okay, I can't play around with like the polyesters and all of that because her skin is really sensitive. And so I wanted to be sensitive to that too, your babies. And so I started fine tuning everything, like I said. But I'm glad I waited till she was here because there are a lot of things that I learned about her that kind of like made me more of an expert in this space because I'm actually like sitting here with a baby and I know how easy it is with diaper changes when I have just one piece or a zipper, that goes all the way up,
Listen,
or the footies in there when we could just throw on some socks and get out the door.
let me tell you
you know?
something. When
Yes,
you have a real life baby, all
exactly.
the stuff that you've passed in the store that you thought was cute, you start looking at clothes really differently. You're like,
Exactly.
okay, when the baby is screaming
Right.
or there's a blowout and I need to move
Exactly.
quick, is
Right.
this little very beautiful outfit going to work with me or work
No.
against me?
Right. And so I was like, we can't have all those snaps. We gotta zip.
Mm-mm.
We gotta keep it moving. And so I am blessed that I have her here now. And obviously, but also I'm gonna see what she likes and navigate her and kind of grow with her. So that's pretty much where we are now. But I don't know if you know, my business only started, Supernatural Baby only launched like 2 weeks ago.
Right,
To
because
the
I saw
date.
your post.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so
Well,
things have been going
here's
well. Yeah.
what drew me to it once I
Hmm.
looked at it was the attention to brand.
Yeah. Thank you.
I didn't know much more than what I saw, but it was
Hmm.
clear this is clearly a brand that you're
Yeah.
building. This is
Yeah.
not, and to your point, you're working with manufacturers, samples,
Hmm.
and you're putting a lot of time in it. And I would love to explore that because I don't think a lot of
Yeah.
people go that route, and that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. Of
But I would love for you to speak to like how did you go about finding a manufacturer that's not just,
course.
I don't know, is it just Google it or
It's
like
not.
how does that
No,
work? Yeah.
absolutely not. So I'll go back. So Supernatural Goods, I went through first I went the China route. And then what I started running into was they weren't listening to me. Not saying that they couldn't create it because China is phenomenal for if you know exactly what you want and you know how to tell them what you want, or you find the right person that actually cares about what you want. So I went that route first, and then I came back to America and I was like, okay, I flew to LA and I was like, let me see if I can find a manufacturer here. Well, when I got there, I was running into high minimums. And I was
Mhm.
like, I can't start a business with 1,000 pieces. I'm not there. I don't know who is there and more power to them, but that's not me. And I don't want boxes sitting at my house because I got all this stuff. And so then I came back to America and I found this guy. He manufactured here, or so he said. So when my samples started to come in, I was just like, this isn't what I said. It wasn't even brown. It was like light tan, like almost yellow. And I was like, this isn't what I said at all. Why is it coming back to me this way? Come to find out after a little bit of investment, because I didn't give him a whole lot of money, but I gave him enough. I found out that he was just outsourcing to like Pakistan. And so I was like, why would you say that you're manufacturing here if you're not?
Right.
So anyway, all that led me to this guy named Amit in Canada, and he had a small knitting mill in Canada. This was during the George Floyd stuff, and he was like, look, he's like, I make cotton, but he was like, so my minimums are pretty high. He was like, but I'll work with you because I want to help Black people in this space to expand in the space. And this guy, I mean, he was creating things for like Supreme, OVO, like, and he was
Mhm.
willing to work with me. So I was like, awesome. He was doing everything for me. And I think once I got back to the baby space, I was like, I'm spending way too much money. I have to figure out a way to make more profit. And so I ended up back in China because I found a guy that was like, hey, let me help you. he was in America, but he's from China. And he was like, let me help you. And I was like, okay. So he was like, what I'll do is I'll do your samples for free. He was like, and then let's see what you think, and then we'll go from there. Just send me like a mock-up. It didn't have to be perfect. He was like, just send me, draw something out, let me know what you think, and then we can go from there. And I was like, okay, cool. So he made my samples and they were right the first time.
Wow.
Everything was right the first time. And I was like, oh my goodness. Never would I have thought that I would find somebody in person and from Alabama, because they're on Alabama, that could do exactly what I was saying and actually care about what I was saying. Because
Yeah.
I'm real stickler for all the details. I want everything to be right. Don't just tell me it's 100% cotton if it's not. And so that transparency and that trust we built, and here we are. And now my overhead isn't nearly as much. I don't have to create as much at a time. I've seen that factory. We FaceTime, we talk about different fabrics. He calls me, he's like, hey, we have this just came in. What do you think of this? What if you did something with this? This is kind of trending. So we're kind of like iron sharpening iron. And he's like helping me out. And so that's kind of like in a nutshell how I ended up with a manufacturer in China.
Gotcha. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
a testament to faith and community
Yes.
and people helping you out and you investing in your brand to get it
For
right,
sure.
which is
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful brand. I was very, and the website is gorgeous as well.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I
Yeah.
did that myself. So it's
You
kind of
did?
been a
Oh,
lot
it
of
looks
me doing
amazing.
stuff myself.
Yeah.
Woo. You know, if I go back, I would be like, all those nights where I spent where I could not sleep, I'm like, I have to figure out how to
Got to
let
make it
people
work.
make reviews or something small that snowballs into something bigger. But I definitely, it took some work. It definitely did. And I feel like now I'm like, you kind of need to start a business to know how to run a business, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
And maybe even fail a few times. It really, and you watch like Shark Tank or something, you're like, these are people that are serial entrepreneurs most times. Well, where they've tried something and they failed, and then they figured out, okay, this is how you do it. And I think that I wouldn't say Supernatural Goods failed, but I learned so much. And now I'm
Right.
like, okay, here I am. I can stand in this space, and I'm supposed to be here.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Question.
Mhm.
I know that the brand is early. Are you all utilizing AI at all for
Yeah,
any of your
so
processes? Tell me about that.
I'm kind of working on that. From my LinkedIn posts, I met so many people that are helping me with like marketing and stuff like that. But on the smaller scale, funny story, I used AI at first, like Chat GPT, like to kind of like help me with some of my copywriting. And I don't care what anybody says, nothing takes the place of an actual person with an actual mind. Because what I started to see was the stuff that they were giving me, I was seeing them on other competitor sites, and I'm like, okay, we can't all be saying the same thing. So some of the stuff I'm still kind of fine tuning and figuring out how exactly I want to say certain things, having more descriptions on my site and things like that. So I'm still kind of rolling that out. But I have realized that AI is helpful when it comes to me, like doing my photos and stuff and how I wanted to look and different things like that, and what I wanted to say for like a caption or something like that. But maybe not on the bigger scale. I feel like nothing is taking the place of an actual person with an actual mind, listening to your story and then creating something from that.
Yeah, I think most people, especially in my industry, we're all getting to the point of agreeing that
Yeah.
it can speed up your process, but
Mhm.
it's not, you may put in the best prompt and it'll spit
Yeah.
out something and it's like, okay, I see where you're going. Okay, now my wheels are turning and I can
More.
pick it up
Yeah.
from here, but I'm not just
Exactly.
going to take what you spit out and
Exactly.
like, that's
Right.
crazy.
And so
Yeah.
I think that has definitely helped me, especially like saying like, how should I
Mm-hmm.
describe a Black owned woman brand? And like you said, it's like thought provoking, because it's like, okay, they give you a little bit and you're like, okay, well, let me go and brainstorm off of that. So I definitely think it's a stepping stool for, what do I want to say? How can I say it? Okay, if I say it like this, how would I say it? So it's definitely helped me out in this space for sure. You're so right about that.
Yeah, totally. So what's the vision for the brand this time next year, this time 2 years from now?
Mhm.
What ideally are you going to expand your product selection? What are you thinking?
So definitely expanding my product selection. I'm working on that now because fortunately I'm almost sold out of a lot of the pieces. Thank you
Congratulations.
so much. So what I want to do is kind of like I'm kind of like still in the brainstorming process, but the whole purpose for me was to create. I mean, I'm kind of like a style person. I wouldn't say that I'm like a trendy person, but I do love style. I like a thing that 2 years from now, I can say, "Oh, my baby can. I had another baby. They can still wear this.
Right.
This is still a piece that stood the test of time." So I'm kind of like in that space where I'm like, "What do I want to create that I would want to see an adult wear that a baby can wear?" So I'm kind of there because I feel like when babies wear stuff that's like I don't know, like that hairstyle. It's like, oh my goodness, where did you get that fly outfit for a baby? Like it's
Yeah.
easy. I just threw this sweatsuit on this baby, but it looks like really took my time and I got the socks, the slouchy socks to match. So I'm kind of there. I'm trying to figure out what can I create next that's like probably more like a set.
Hmm.
And keeping like the core onesie because I feel like that'll never go out of style because your baby can sleep in there. Some people bring their babies out and then put on a coat and some socks and sneakers and they go. So I do want to stick to that, but I'm trying to expand and create something, even if it's like I'm not reinventing the wheel, but even if it's
Right.
like something that is a fabric that you wouldn't normally see this in. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to do next. And the cool thing about China is they're on their new year and they aren't going to be back for another 2 weeks. So that gives me some time to really think about what it is I want to do and not do anything, hasty. So I'm kind of like in my brainstorming process. I'm looking through my baby's closet and I'm like, what are my favorite things to put on her? What's easy? And sets are just easy. I mean, when you
Yeah.
think of a set, you're like, okay, this matches that. And boom. I don't have to think about much more. I got diapers. You already got so much going on in your mind as a parent.
Oh my
And I'm not
gosh.
gonna even just say as a mom, but even as a parent, if I send my husband to go get her dressed, he's gonna go for the matching shirt and pants. It's easy for him too. So I think that that's probably something that I'm gonna do next. And just keeping it neutral, staying true to the brand and unisex, something unisex. So I'm trying to see, but it definitely will be something coming out, probably maybe with, lighter fabric or we'll see. Some people their winter isn't ending until May.
Right.
And people in LA, they're probably like, I could use something lighter right now. So I'm trying to figure it out, but it's coming really, really soon.
That's exciting. Well, I'm excited to watch and keep up. Thank
Thanks.
you so much for being
Of
a
course.
part of today's show. Our incredible guest, Necie Armstrong, founder of Supernatural Baby. And we'll have contact information for Supernatural Baby in the show notes for anyone interested in supporting the brand. It's a beautiful brand. It
Thanks
really
so
is.
much.
If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and review, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.